the first thing is to know if you need to select different software. It's very easy to go down the road of just, oh, we've got to buy new software to fix all the problems, but software alone doesn't fix your problems. So the first thing to do is knowing if you need to change. They identified that with us. We did decide that we absolutely do need to have a change. Once you have that down, you have to know what you need to change, what you need really, and you have to have your requirements. So putting together a request for information doc that really catalogs all of those different requirements so that you know what you're asking for. The next part is really identifying if there's software out there that can meet that need, if there are vendors out there. And that is a mixed boat because you have hundreds of vendors out there who all say they can fix all your problems with their solutions. So what we did is we culled the field. We really looked at what their requirements are. We went out and we know the vendors, so we really got the best vendors that closely met their requirements and brought them in. That was one element of it. The other is that you have to also have good demonstrations. So not only do they have to have the functionality or say they have it, but they have to show it. They have to put it in front of the client and really say, here's how we can meet your business needs, and do that. And so we went through that process with them. But that's not the end of it. That's only one piece of it. Functionality is very important and you have to start with that. But the next parts are partnership, the implementation partner, and really having them understand your business, have worked in that vertical before, and being able to bring that experience to bear so that they can successfully get you through that change and set up the product right. And the last bit of it is really cost, because you can buy too much system, you can buy too little system. So that cost factor is very important as well. And so we mixed all of those components together and we cut it down until we had the best possible combination of those factors for Bron Tapes.
It was nice to work with ERP advisors because they did a risk assessment, as I remember, of our business to where we were strong and where we posed the most risk. And then they made suggestions based upon their expertise, their experience about what platforms might be best for us. Then they introduced us to those platforms one at a time and saw how comfortable that we were with them or not. And then we moved on to the next process to take a look at cost and timelines for implementation and that type of thing.
The selection process was good, and that's kind of like at the beginning I talked about how we actually picked a vendor already. So we picked a vendor and they got all the way to the point to where they showed us a bill and said, what do you think of this price? And we said, that's ridiculous. We're not going to pay that. And so then we started thinking, well, there's probably a company out there that can help us negotiate that a little better. And EAG came in and told us that for this specific vendor or these 2 or 3 that we think will work for you, they knew exactly what discount that vendor was working with. And so they gave us a starting point and we had a real negotiation instead of them guessing and saying, hey, here, what do you think of this? It wasn't like a used car deal. So it was like something that where they actually, EAG was a professional there and helped us, saved us a lot of money. So that was a big deal. As far as the demos go, we quickly narrowed it down to just 2, and one was our existing software, and we were able to. It took us a couple different demos, but we figured out pretty quickly which one was going to be the right tool. They looked at the contract and showed us the main points and how it worked, and we were concerned about payment terms. We didn't want to outlay a full year in advance, and they helped us kind of negotiate that and tell us what the vendor was accepting, I guess. And so we took that into the negotiation, and they helped us, but they did a lot of the heavy lifting. Finally, jumping off and making the investment, we were really prepared. So we knew what 3 other customers were paying based on how much per user, and EAG was able to help us with all that. So we felt really comfortable with getting started. So the implementation partner we had never heard of. So the ERP softwares we knew their names, but the partners that were implementing for us, which is a big part of whether you succeed or fail, they were helpful in that. So they brought in a couple people. Some of the software will try to push their own internal implementation teams, And we found that out, didn't know that that was a mistake, and I'm glad that we figured that out on the front end. So they started out liking us, and they did not like us at the end, but we got it done.
EAG helped us pick the right software by bringing in their original needs analysis notes that really kind of itemized and helped prioritize what's important to us, knowing there's no perfect software, especially in the ERP world. Going through that, reviewing the demos, they were there for the demos, so they knew we already had some of the conversation about pros and cons, and taking those two, basically mixing them together and doing the math. Okay, which one makes the most sense based on those needs, our budgets, our timeline of implementation, our expansion criteria. It was really a pretty easy decision at that point. For us, selecting the final product, the final vendor, it didn't necessarily involve all the subject matter experts because they brought in the criteria that we needed. It was really the executive team reviewing, again with the EAG, going over the actual needs versus the pros and cons of each platform. And the executive team really had a fairly easy time making that final decision. So we only needed really the executive team. Yes, EAG brought in some partners that weren't on my radar as options, and it really made us confident that we were selecting from the best batch of potential candidates software, regardless of anything we'd heard, any internal biases, and any preconceptions.